Good morning. How's everybody out there? How's everybody good? I hope you had a good weekend. Good Thanksgiving. And I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit today about a couple of things. And actually, I wanted to talk to you about technology. Technology when it first came to our home, which you might laugh because the technology I'm going to talk about sounds so primitive, but it's just the way that we lived back when I was a little kid back in the 50s and 60s. And we didn't have electricity. We had oil lamps. And this is going to lead up to why we elders learn quite a bit about ourselves because of technology, which the biggest thing that ever came to us back in the 60s was a television set. And it didn't come to all of us. It came to one TV on top of the reservation on top of the mountain where we live at. And it was just one TV, and it only caught two stations, and one out of Flagstaff. And what they used to do is, when it first got there, was a TV set, and the man would roll the TV set up to the window, and he'd open up the window and put the TV right there, and everybody that was up there on top of it would bring their chairs and whatever they were gonna, coffee or whatever, and they'd sit there, and he'd put the TV up there, and we'd all watch TV. That was when the TV first got there. We'd watch a couple of shows, and then the station would go off. It would only catch a few stations and not much of anything. But that was technology. That was our technology, TV. And like I said, we had oil lamps. So what happens then is when you're a little kid, and there was we didn't have any of this technology. You know, a lot of you guys didn't either. But a lot more than what we had in anything. We didn't even have a radio. So what we would do is Grandpa, Grandma, or my dad, or my uncles, or some of the other elders, after they ate, they went sit down in the living room area, and they would start talking, about 8 o'clock. They would start talking to each other about their life with their grandfathers and grandmothers and their stories of way back when, and a lot of different things that don't exist. They would talk about those things. So as a kid, I would lay on the floor there on top of we had a sheep rug. I would lay up there and listen to them talking. And then my aunt would be there, and the ladies really didn't speak that much about things, but the men did. But the lady, my aunt, listened to a lot of these stories, and the men would, it looked like they were asleep because they'd have their eyes closed, but they would still be talking about all these things. And then the men that gathered around there, they didn't say much of anything. They just go, That was their way of acknowledging that they're listening and they understand. They wouldn't interrupt at all. So when the story started, they tell the history in stories. They didn't tell history like I'm doing with you right now, where you understand what I'm saying to you. And hopefully you understand what I'm saying to you. But back then they told them in stories about the history of and the past of our ancestors. They were told like that, but you could understand what they're telling you, even if it's in Hopi, and sometimes they would use a few English words, but not a lot. It was all done in Hopi. That's why those stories are really valuable. If you could get a hold of some of them, that somebody wrote down, or that's why a lot of the Smithsonian stuff used to come up there, because they used to get invited into the kiva actually, and they would talk, and then later on an interpreter would try to tell them but it would be different than what the Hopis, what the elders were talking, because you have to straighten it out. You have to kind of figure out what the elders were saying and then turn it into a language that others would understand. Like I'm telling you now, like if I would tell you that that the man went up to the mountain and he was looking for a certain thing, and he went down like a Three River Pass or through there, and then the people would know which direction he went to. He wouldn't have to say, I went exactly this way, but they would know it by just that type of story. And like if they went hunting or something, they would talk about how the animal meant so much to the people and how they raised and helped the animal as it was getting older. And they would tell us stories like that about the snow and they had the trees that fell up on the snow. That's how they would do it, and you would interpret it as like going hunting, and stuff like that. So their stories are really interesting. Just like you see the picture with, the stone, I call them stone writing, stone stories that were there thousands of years before my grandfather and grandfather. That's how you interpret those, by the stories that they're telling. And a lot of clans would leave their not enough picture storage free up. Oh, I'm sorry, there's something came on, I had to read it.
Talk to this.
And so that's how picture glyphs are done, and that's how you interpret it. A lot of people, they look at it and they look at the pictures and they're trying to interpret them, and a lot of them they do get them. A lot of these stories are about hunting. They're about living, how they lived, and what type of battles that they had with each other or other tribes, and snowstorms, the heat, drought, water, where you get water and all that. Kind of like if you look back at the hobo days, and you go to the internet, you put in hobo days, and then they're really interesting too.